Yeah, I think that's on it. Okay, so tell me a bit about yourself.
So my name is Soraya, and if it sounds a little bit weird, it's because obviously it's not an English name. So I am originally from Spain, but I have been living in the UK for the last 5 years. And I've just got into pageants like really recently. Literally, it was like 2020 during the pandemic. Decided to just like start looking into pageants and enter my very first pageant and competed last year in my very first pageant, and I end up winning my title, which is amazing and also crazy, like the first attempt, and there you go. But that shows that it can actually be done, that you don't need to be in pageants for very long to be able to just win a title.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, I work in a localization company working for medical and pharma companies. And on the side, I work as a makeup artist. And one of my passions as well, apart from makeup, is working out. So I actually started bodybuilding before knowing that I could actually get into pageants. Because for me, my idea of pageants were like, you need to be a certain height in order to compete. So this is why I started in bodybuilding, because there, for sure, there was no height restrictions. So that's how I come into bodybuilding in the first place, and then decided to move into pageants when I realized that there is no height restrictions.
Yeah. Okay, so the first big question, what is your favorite training day? Is it like legs?
Oh, leg day. It has to be leg day. To be honest, I don't really like working out my back or my shoulders, although it's like the shortest workouts, really, like you can get them out of the way quickly, but leg day is my favorite.
Yeah, no, same. You know what though? Apparently, women's lower bodies are stronger, whereas men are the other way round.
Mm-hmm.
That explains a lot actually as to why it's kind of like
Yeah.
men are always doing their bloody chest
Yeah.
thingy.
Chests and everything, yes. And then we're all with the hip thrust and everything, yes. Yeah, also like for me, the lower side of my body leans down quicker. So I think because I see the results faster, I feel like I really want to train that more, if that makes sense. I think if on the other side, my upper body will be leaning up faster, maybe I would be more passionate about like, training back and things like that. But no, I'm a lower body kind of girl.
Yes, love to see it. I mean, are you still doing bodybuilding competitions, or is that something that you've kind of?
Yes, I am. So the thing is, the difference from pageants, if you want to do well in your bodybuilding shows, you need to leave some years in between, because if you want to do this in a natural way, I mean, there is ways that people do it that are not natural, but if you want to do it in a natural way, you need to leave like 1-2 years in between your shows to be able to grow that muscle mass. So my last show was 2020 and my next show will be 2023.
Okay, interesting. I mean, is it different for men? Are men able to get leaner quicker? No.
I think they're able to gain muscle mass faster, but still there is just so much amount of muscle mass that you can gain in a natural way. You need to eat, which I think they don't have that problem, like they can eat as much as they want, but you just need to eat in a surplus. You need to just eat a lot of food, a lot of protein in order to grow that muscle, as well as like really, really, really smashing it in the gym every day, going with like very heavy weights. So maybe men are more like, I just go to work and then I go do my workout. And for us, it's just, okay, I'm going to work, I'm going to do my workout, but oh my God, I need to do this in the house. Oh, I need to do this other thing. So maybe for us, because of the way that we've been, raised, unfortunately, let me say, we have all those other things in our mind that maybe make us, take a little bit longer. Also, genetics, it's what it is.
I mean, that actually is really interesting because I do sociology A level, and one of the things we kind of look at is like households' division of labor. And even now, even in households that kind of see themselves as equal, when you actually break it down, women always do more in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's because of how we've been, raised in a way, or how society kind of like sees that we should do things in the house. And I think that kind of like extrapolates as well as how much time we're actually spending in the gym as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, what was it that kind of got you into bodybuilding then? What was it that got you into competition?
So I've always been into sports. So I have always been like doing sports since I'm little. So I was doing figure skating and cheerleading. And during cheerleading, it was clear that I needed a little bit of like more strength in my upper body. So I started going to the gym and I really liked it, right? Obviously I was going to the gym knowing nothing of what I was supposed to be doing, just like some machines here and there, and didn't have a PT or anything. So at that time I was just watching videos on YouTube about like what exercises I could do. And I ran into this fitness YouTuber called Heidi Summers. So she's like Buff Bunny. And she was doing bikini competition. So I started looking into it and it's like, oh, actually, this is like something I've always wanted to do, right? Like being on stage in heels, do like my little runway. And then I can just wear like a sparkly bikini. Like what's not to like, right? And then I get to just still work out. So that's how I ended up getting into bodybuilding. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. Also, I need a challenge because I was going to the gym, but let me tell you that the nutrition side of things was not that great. So I was being great during the week. And then on the weekends, it was just like everything was like overboard, too much food, basically not making any progress. So I was like, I need some kind of challenge that is going to make me think twice before I decide to eat everything under the sun on the weekend, right? So I was like, before I eat like 3 cakes, I'm going to think, oh no, you're going to be on stage and you're going to be judged on your physique. And you don't want to be the fluffy one on stage, right? Yeah. So, okay, let's do this competition, this bodybuilding show to get myself into kind of like discipline on like working out and eating healthy.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, how long ago was that you started?
That was 2017.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
So it was like that 4, 5 years.
Yeah, that's about 5 years.
I don't know.
Around that, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's have a look. I mean, I was going to ask you, what's your biggest motivation when it comes to working out? I mean, what is it, even on the days when you're like, oh, is it purely the competitions, or is there anything else that you kind of think about?
Well, at the beginning, it was the competitions, right? And then after like working out for many, many years, you just realize that, motivation is not always going to be there.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't rely on motivation to work out. We should rely on discipline to do it, because we're never going to be motivated to work out. Like when my alarm comes off in the morning, I'm like, oh, no, I want to keep sleeping. I don't want to go to the gym. But it's like, no, you have to do it because it's not just because of your fitness goals, like what you want to achieve and the changes that you want to see in your body and how different you want to look from the year before. It's also because it's going to set you up for the day. It's just going to change your whole perception on how the day is going to be. When I go to the gym and you're lifting heavy weights, you're releasing all the stress, and in a way kind of like the endorphins come up, and I leave and it's like, I'm so glad I was here. I'm so glad that I decided to get out of bed and come here. Yeah. Although during my workup, I'm like, oh my God, why am I doing this? I'm tired. I want to be in bed.
That's actually like a reenactment of me this morning. You know what? My mum, she absolutely hates getting up early. But like the past 6 months, she's been coming to the gym with me. And yesterday I was like, well, if we don't go early in the morning, we're not going to end up going to the gym till like Saturday. And I was like, oh, are we going to feel good after that? So I was like, and she was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I was like, do it because you'll feel better for it. And guess what? She did. So I think
Yeah.
there definitely does come a point where you just kind of go, I don't want to do this, but I know that I'll be grateful later.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. And many times I've just even thought about like, okay, I'm just gonna sleep a little bit longer and then I'll go in the evening. But then I know that something's gonna happen during the day that is gonna make me not be able to go to the gym later, or it's just gonna get too late for me actually to go to the gym, because I used to train in the evenings, and I remember it was so hard for me to go to bed sometimes because my whole body was like, wow, excited after my workout, right? And it was really difficult for me to kind of like calm down and be able to go to bed. So I know that my workout time is going to be in the morning, even if it's painful. I'm just going to go and do it. I might not be able to do my whole workout if, I'm like tossing around in bed for a while, but I'll get there and I'll do it. Because if not, in the evening, as I said, something's going to come up, I'm not going to go, or I'm going to end up going, but all the freaking machines are taken, and I'm going to have to be waiting, and I hate it. Yeah. As well as sometimes there is too many guys in my gym, and there is not enough ventilation, and that's not good.
Oh, God. You know what, though? I'm lucky because I'm with the better gyms.
Yeah.
My local one got like redone a few years ago, so it's like so well air conditioned that you can't.
That's nice.
When people are stinky, I love it because as well, like whenever you know that you're a bit stinky as well.
Yeah.
God. Okay, so do you find that your gym's male dominated?
I would say in the evenings, 100%. It's mostly men. In the mornings, I would say it's kind of like 50-50, the amount of people that I see. But if we have to take in a look in like overall, I would say that my gym in particular, it is male dominated. There is not that many women in there. I don't know if the reason why is because the weight area it's kind of like an old gym. So when it was built, it was more for it's a bodybuilding kind of gym. So I think it was like more kind of like for the guys back then when it was built. So I don't know if that might be one of the reasons or not, but yeah, I will say majority is men.
Okay. And when you're in the weights area, do you find like the weights area is kind of more men than like, I don't know, the mats area, if you have one of them?
Oh, I will say like the weights area is busier than the cardio area. In the cardio, I will see more females than in the weight area. But I have to say that slowly I'm seeing like more women coming into the weights area. I don't know if the reason why they are not using weights is because they think they are going to look like the guys.
Yeah.
Or not, because clearly that's not the case.
You know what? I think a lot of women think that. A lot of women think that. And, when you actually learn about these things, it's just not how it works.
Exactly.
It works at all. But it's quite sad how a lot of women think that, really, because it probably stops a lot of them who probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you are in the weight area, have you ever do you often feel like you get kind of stared at? Say you're in leggings and a sports bra and you're not just like baggy t-shirt, baggy joggers. Do you kind of feel like you get looked at, like people stare?
In my gym, no, because like all the guys are so concentrated in their weights and go like that they don't care about that. But I'll say whenever I get more like stares will be when I'm lifting more than them.
Yeah. As you should. You know, I mean, have you ever, like, in your whole time kind of being at the gym, have you ever kind of been harassed or anything? You know, have you
No,
ever
I think I've been, I mean, not harassed. It's just been, I think I have like that kind of like resting bitch face.
Yeah.
That people don't really come to me that much, or like when they go and ask the question, I was like, yeah. I kind of like keep everybody away, because when I'm training, I am focused and I'm on my thing. So haven't really felt any of that. And whenever I've been a little bit more chatty, is because I've been like training with a friend. And I think once you are with someone, there is not that many people that will like come to you and try anything. But no, I think I've been quite lucky.
Yeah.
I don't know if because of the areas as well where I live,
Yeah.
and I've trained is like a different fauna of like guys in there. Is a different thing. Maybe if I was in London, it might have been a different story. But
okay, and what is the next question? I thought I was gonna like remember these for some reason.
but that's why you have a list. That's fine.
Why do you think such a kind of small proportion of women weightlift? So we kind of touched on this earlier with kind of, oh no, I don't want to be bulky. But do you think there's kind of any other reasons that put them off?
I think as well, I mean, talking from my own experience, like maybe not knowing what to do, or like the fear of like, you know, especially when you're going to a gym that is mostly male dominated, that you feel like, oh, they're going to correct me, they're just going to look and they're going to laugh because I'm not doing it properly, I'm not having the right form, or things like that. So I think that kind of like pushes a lot of girls not to use the weight section, because they might feel like they're going to embarrass themselves in front of all the people that kind of like know what they're doing, as well as maybe just going to the gym without a proper plan, not really researching and looking for a coach that will help them get to the place that they need to. So I think is thinking they are going to get bulky, not having a coach and a proper program, so they don't really know what they're going to be doing that day. And the third, feeling that they are going to look stupid doing the exercises.
You know what? I think that third one is really kind of on it, because I remember, so I did, like, when I got proper into fitness, I did them Chloe Ting things all through lockdown. And actually, when she released some proper weight ones, because we had decent weights at home, I kind of learnt through that. But then when I eventually went to the gym, so in my gym, you've got cardio machines, mats, and then the proper weight section. And in our mat section, we did like have preloaded barbells and stuff. So I would just use those for a while, because I remember just being really scared to look stupid in the weight area. Honestly.
Yeah.
And I did eventually go there. It was fine, because no one actually cares. They just want to get on with their own workout.
Exactly, because we are all busy, so we all want to get in and out in like an hour max, right? So we're just like doing our thing. But it was the same for me. That's why I say, like, sometimes you're just going to do something and you're like, oof, are they looking at me because I'm doing it wrong? Or no, actually probably they're looking at me because they're counting how many sets I've been doing to see when they can use my barbell, you know. They're not looking at me to correct me, they're just looking at to see when I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing, so they can take that and use it for themselves.
I think also I think people, I know that I've done it, sometimes you watch people just to kind of see what they do in their workout. Like, I think it's just like kind of a natural nosy thing.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely, yes. I do that as well. But sometimes I just go and ask, like, so what are you doing this one for? It's like, oh, I'm gonna try my next one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's been one instant I've ever had. So there's an older guy at my gym. It's like 45, 50. And he's just, I don't know, he's a bit of an odd guy. The only thing I've ever seen him work out is he like does loads of push-ups and goes does like chest presses. And he's just doing that. He's a bit odd. And once I was just trying to peacefully load up my weight, and he was like, you know, if you do it this way, it'll be much easier. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'll take that. It was helpful.
Yeah.
But then, you know, he did that once, and then he saw me again the other week, and I was completely fine. I was just unloading my bar after hip thrust in peace. You know, I was hip thrusting what? I don't know, 60 kg. Like, I knew what I was doing. I wasn't an idiot.
Yeah.
And this guy, I was just trying to pick up the 20s, and because my upper body isn't as strong as it should be, you know, I kind of pick it up.
Yeah.
He's like,
well, they're not easy to pick up either, you know.
Yeah. You know, he just kind of came up and went to me, you know, if you need help, just ask for it. It wasn't like friendly. He was just like almost annoyed. It was a really weird. It was a really, really weird. And I think it's probably guys like that give a really bad rep to everyone else. That's an incident in what, 2 years?
Yeah.
But that was weird.
Yeah. I mean, also with age, you became wiser, you know, like probably when I was younger, I would have been like, okay, whatever. But now if that happens to me, I would be like, oh no, I don't need any help. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be like, oh no, I'm fine. Bye.
Yeah, no, it was just one of them passive aggressive things. And I was obviously, you know, outwardly, I was like, oh yeah, thank you, I'm fine. And okay.
Yeah, maybe he actually needed those. And he was like, oh my gosh, it's taking so long.
That could have been it. Okay. And when you were like, so how does the cycle kind of work for you? So you have to bulk and cut, don't you? So what does that cycle kind of look like for you? Kind of talk me through it.
So usually when a competition finishes, you start like a reverse diet. So you start slowly building your calories up again, instead of like going straight up to maintenance calories. However, it really depends on the person, because maybe your body, for your body, it's better to go straight to like a maintenance level of calories and then like start building from there. So once you have reached more or less like your maintenance calorie level that you know, because of that's where you kind of like started your cut, after that you start slowly building up the calories. So every week you should be going up in weight a little bit. And it really depends on the coach's approach. I have like many different coaches and they had different approaches. Some of them were like, okay, we need to go up in weight, but we need to try to get the waist measurements not going up too fast. Others were like, it doesn't matter, just go in, you just need to eat, and then you start like building, like start lifting heavy. So it really depends on the coach that you have and the approach and what works better for you, because we are all so different individually, like our bodies were so different, and that really depends on that. So I would be bulking for like a good part of like 6 months, maybe do a little mini cut in between. If myself, I would be telling my coach like, I feel terrible, I feel horrible, I don't like it. They will just go, okay, let's do a mini cut and then continue bulking again. But what I have done in past, even it has been like a 2 years of a full bulk, going almost up to 3,000 calories in food, which when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, 3,000 calories, that's great. Yes, if you are eating like junk food all the time, that's easy to reach those calories. But when you're trying to eat in a little bit more healthier way, it's so difficult.
If you
it's too much food.
Gain muscle, you need to eat the good stuff, don't you, really?
Yeah. And then it depends on how your body has reacted in previous preps and how far away you will have to start the cut. So all my cats, because of the way that my body works, I guess like my metabolism or the way that my body is, it's always been like 20 to 18 weeks of cutting. And you slowly cut your calories every week and up your cardio to create a deficit.
Yeah.
So the idea is obviously you start always decreasing food first to see how it goes until you reach certain point. And then you're going to start upping your cardio because you don't really want to eat less than that amount of calories, because then it's not healthy for your body. And especially for us females, it's quite dangerous in the sense when we go too low, we can miss our period, like our period can stop. And ideally, we don't want to get to those levels. So then we just start like upping our cardio to create that extra deficit.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, when you're at your lowest calorie point, how long are you kind of on that for? And is it kind of really difficult for you to stick to?
I think it really depends. Like each prep is very different. So I have had like my very first one was amazing because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So it was pretty easy. I was like, oh, this is fine, easy, perfect. The second one, because I knew what was happening and I knew how I wanted to look, was a little bit more difficult because then, you know, my calories were not going down that much as they were in the first prep. But my mind, mentally, it was harder for me. So then obviously it was not like sticking to the food. It was more like my head was not in the right space. It was like very different. And this time around, I'm cutting calories now in preparation for my international pageant. And it's quite easy right now for me again. So it really depends on where your head is at to be able to stick to that diet or not. So this is why it's very important, if you ever decide to compete or you want to go into a cut to get a little bit leaner, that your head is in the right space, because otherwise it's going to get very difficult for you. And I don't think there is any woman in the world that doesn't have any kind of body dysmorphia. I think we all look ourselves in a very different way than someone else will look at us, you know. So we need to make sure that our head is in the right space before we get into any kind of like definition diet.
I mean, I guess for someone with any form of eating disorder,
not recommended at all. You need to have a really good relationship with food before you decide to compete, because otherwise it can make it even worse.
Of course. I mean, most of the time you're kind of very unlikely to succeed as well, because if you have something like binge eating disorder, you're already in this cycle of binging and restricting, and the problem is that's just gonna exasperate it, isn't it, really? I mean, very good mental assessment first.
Competition, like bodybuilding, is not the healthiest sport when you think about it. It's not the healthiest, because obviously you just, especially when you want to compete in the NPC level of bodybuilding, it's not the healthiest, because you need to be super extra lean in order to place well. This is one of the reasons why I stopped competing in 2018 and changed the federations that I was competing with. Because for me, NPC, it was not the way to go. I competed with them in 2018 and I was my leanest ever. My waist was so tight, like the tiniest it's ever been. And I still was not lean enough.
I mean, how did you feel physically? Did you lose your period?
No, I've never done it. I've never lost my periods. I think like all the coaches that I have been really good at that. And also I was just like telling them like, no, it's like, I don't want to do more cardio than this. I don't want to eat less than that. I've never lost my period, which is great. But most of the girls that I competed with had. And this is why I was like, oh, I don't really like where this is going. And for me, I know that anytime that someone asks me, oh, I want to compete, I always tell them like, okay, I will go for the modeling side of bodybuilding, because you don't need to be that lean.
Yeah.
You can be a little bit like fuller, and it's more I mean, I'm not gonna say it's easy to get there, because it's not, like there is a lot that goes into it, but I will say your head is going to be in a much nicer space than if you compete in the NPC.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a lot more enjoyable, really.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you spend all this time prepping for something if you're gonna kind of end up miserable and body dysmorphic at the end of it, really?
Yeah, because this is one of the things that I always say, right? Same with any kind of competitions. You don't win anything, you just win a trophy. So do you really want to get your body to those extremes for like a trophy? Maybe, because you don't know what it's going to be. It's just like, it's very subjective. The sport is very subjective. It's not like, oh, because you have this roundness in the glutes and this and that, you have this many points. Not at all. It's like, let's see what the judges want that day. Same with pageants, right? Like you never know how it's going to be. So why am I going to risk my health for a medal? No.
Yeah, I mean, I've got two more questions. So body wise, I don't know much about bodybuilding, but one thing I do know is a lot of women seem to get boob jobs, because you'll see these really lean women, huge boobs.
Yeah.
So is that a really big thing in bodybuilding, or is it just something under certain federations?
Okay, so it's a very controversial topic, but you see a lot of that, because whenever you are judging a physique in bodybuilding, what you look is for balance within the body, right? So obviously, whenever we lose body fat, we lose body fat from everywhere. And unfortunately, the boobs is the first place that goes, right? Your belly, which is the one that you want to go first, is the very last one. The one that goes like the last week, literally. So obviously, women, when they do this in a, like year after year after year, they lose their boobs and they feel like, oh, I don't have what I used to have. So they get that boob job as well, to get that kind of like X frame, right? Because obviously, with also when your boobs are bigger, the illusion that makes on the waist is make it look smaller.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the reason why many girls do it. Also, I've heard many people within federations telling girls like, you should get a boob job if you want to win. But you don't have to, like, it's not needed. There is many athletes that have done really well within bodybuilding that didn't have a boob job. They just have a really good bikini designer that created a top that makes them look like they have boobs. So that's what you need to go for.
Oh, good idea. You know what? That's a weird concept, because, I mean, a judge is never going to say to a man, oh, go and get a willy implant. So
yeah, exactly. It just look nicer right on stage. No, I know it's that's what I say. It's quite controversial, because like, do you need it? You don't. No, I don't think you need it. I think there is many girls that have done really well with it, but again, I think it takes us back to that body dysmorphia thing that we have now. You're not seeing yourself in the mirror the way that you liked. So that's why many girls go for boob jobs. But then at the same time, then they get the boob jobs and they don't like it as much, because as soon as you lean down, you can see the implant. Like, I've been in the tanning room with girls and you can 100% see the implant, because it's just like the implant and skin. There is nothing. There is no body fat in there. So then you're like, I don't like my boobs. So it's kind of like, that's why I say, like, just make yourself that you get a good bikini designer that knows how to get your size properly. I remember, like, I have no boobs whatsoever. At all. Like, nothing, right? No boobs. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And when I competed the first time, I remember texting with Kat, which is my bikini designer. And she was like, okay, go to Primark and buy a 34C bra. And I'm like, what is 34C? What are you talking about? I'm not a 34C. She's like, trust me, buy a 34C bra and I'll do the bikini. And I was like, okay, if you say so. That was my size, because what it did is just like make my upper body look more in balance with my bottom, with my lower part of the body. And instead of like making it like too close in where you can just see a lot of my back, it made it a little more round. And she put so much padding in that it looked like I had boobs and I had nothing.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Brilliant. We love to hear that. God, I'm gonna need one of them when I go on holiday.
Yeah, you just need to get that,
yeah.
right? And then you just like go down and scoop it and just like beep, beep.
Yes,
Ready.
You know what? You know what? Thank you so much for coming on. I think we'll end it there.